and welcome to Mondays with Maria Gould. Today is October 27th, 2025, and welcome to episode 34. The topic today is the question, what does it mean to be awake? I'm going to share my perspective of the mass awakening that's happening right now and why it's happening. So what does it mean to be awake? Maybe you've heard people say it's time to wake up. Are you awake yet? As different things are happening in the world. So there's many different layers to the awakening. One layer that people are waking up to is actually just what's happening in the world around them. There maybe be after COVID, when we were locked down and we couldn't have our normal routine, it made us actually question and go within ourselves and start going onto the internet to see different perspectives on what was happening in the world. And we started to kind of wake up to maybe things that were hidden from us before. So there's that aspect. I'm gonna look at a broader picture though here. Why are we going through this mass awakening? And how do we maneuver it? Because if you have been through an awakening, it kind of shakes you to the core. So how do we find our grounding again? So my perspective is when we look at the great cycles of time, and if you've heard me speak about this in other podcasts or in my newsletter, if you're not part of my newsletter, there's great informational articles in the newsletters. And I would suggest getting onto my email list through my website at mariagould.com. You can join my email list at the top of the page. Now, I did an article around the yugas. And what are the yugas? Y-U-G-A. So these are from the Hindu faith, where a long time ago, this culture really did study the stars and studied it and recorded it for a long, long time. And they realized that there were great cycles of time. And the yugas, or these cycles of time, were thought of in 24,000 year cycles. And what would happen is in the first 12,000 years, it's like an awakening is happening. People are waking up from a deep sleep, being very unconscious, almost like a child, very ignorant, living in darkness, squalor, a lot of disease. And then as they awaken in those 12,000 years and reach its peak, they really do have limited potential. Now, I believe we are coming into this great awakening in that ascending energy of the yuga. It's also referred to as the day and the night of God. So on the other side of this coin is the 12,000 years of darkness. And this can be a lot of ignorance, a lot of almost like a child mindset. People look to energies outside of themselves to tell them what to do, right? So we saw this throughout our entire history. We're still seeing this. People look to a king or a ruler to kind of tell them the structure of their life, right? The caste system. Even today we look to government and authorities outside of ourselves to tell us what to do and what is right. And this is changing. The awakening that is going on now is people are starting to question the status quo. They're questioning what they've been told and why they were told that, and does what they were told make any sense when you really come down to logic? So people are moving out of sort of that blind faith of a child that the parent says, oh, you have to listen to mother because I know what's best. And we're waking up to, oh, do these authorities actually know what's best for me? Because they don't even know me. So we start to question these things. We might be questioning the medical establishment. We might be questioning governments, political parties. We might be questioning all kinds of things about society. And this is normal in the first part of the ascending yuga, right? We start to question things. Everything that was built in darkness must be exposed because now there is more universal light coming in. The consciousness is awakening of humanity, and we're questioning things, right? So as we continue to question, we will awaken more and more, not only to what is happening in the world, what is happening around us, with each other, but we'll also question within ourselves. Maybe after COVID, you know, the break in routine made you really question what was important to you. All of those daily social things that we did that didn't really bring us joy or happiness. They were out of obligation or, you know, pressure from society. We really started to question these and ask ourselves, what do I want? What makes me happy? And a lot of people really shifted their life after COVID, right? Many people changed their relationship, right? Many people changed locations or changed jobs. So all of this big upheaval and change is people trying to find what makes them happy. Because how society has been, you know, that idea that we are born, we go through childhood, we try and chase these dreams of having a good job and having the right education and the right partner and the right children and the right house. All of this energy of kind of materialism starts to get questioned because we watch people follow this path that has been laid out by society for them are a lot of times very, very unhappy. And I'm not saying that you can't find happiness in those pursuits. But when we reach deep in to our heart, to our soul, and we imagine laying, if we could for a second, I know this may seem morbid, but it isn't, because it gives us true perspective. If we were lying on our deathbed, reflecting on our life, all of the things that you worry about and stress about, would they be important to you? Would it be an important thing for you to have a new car every 3 years? No, I doubt it. Would it have been important to you on how much you succeeded at work and moved up the ranks? Or would it matter to you how many people you made a difference to? How many people's lives you touched, hearts you touched, minds you changed? I bet you that is what you would be reflecting on. So COVID gave us a beautiful opportunity to start our awakening. And this can be in many different levels. But I believe it's happening because of the shift going from the descending yogic cycle to the ascending. Now we have been for the past couple of 100 years. We've been coming into the ascending part of the yuga, which is literally called the day and night of God. So we're awakening to the day of God, right? People are awakening to spiritual practices that are within themselves sovereign right? We're not always looking outside of ourselves to find that spiritual connection. Every person is built in with that spiritual connection to the divine, whereas in the yuga of the descending energy, we were looking outside of ourselves for authorities, people that said they were authorities, that they said they knew better than us, told us what to believe about God. And now we're moving in what feels right for us, what is already our truth that's kind of built into us. So again, going from outside of ourself and authority in others to our own authority within ourselves. So that shift that's happening is a lift in consciousness. It's almost like a shift that is awakening the masses. We don't question with blind belief anymore. We start to question the world around us. We actually really start to stand up to authority in this phase. Have you known somebody that if you tell them what to do, they will say no? Because they trust their own authority and their own logic over what perhaps the mass conscious says. So that shift in that paradigm is part of the awakening. It is those souls that will start to question authority. It's not just questioning the world around you as well. It's a deep internal questioning that I spoke of a bit earlier. What do I want? What makes me happy? But there might also come a point where you start to question what you believe and why you believe it. So I'm not sure if it's in your scope of awareness yet, but there's a mass awakening to how human consciousness is actually manipulated through media, through social posts. Now, I can get into that a little bit more in other podcasts and other newsletters, but we have been. For generations, we have been fed propaganda over facts. That will be in a different podcast, but if you are starting to awaken to this, you will start to understand what I'm talking about as we're coming into the day of God, the awakening. It's like waking up from a deep sleep and you're going, oh my gosh, everything that not only I believed, but what was told to my parents and my grandparents was a lie. This can be very earth-shattering. It can make you question everything you thought you believed. If you are in that space, I feel you. I feel you. So how do we find our grounding again? If you've been through this process of awakening and it really shakes your perspective, it shakes your point of view of the world, of people, of yourself in the world. It's almost, for me, like a floundering. Where do I fit? I definitely have sunk into my instincts a lot more. I trust the sensations in my body a lot more. And I follow those sensations. They have never, ever in the past led me wrong. So how do we find our grounding? Well, a few things that I do is, number one, I talk to God. I come back to connecting within myself to that loving presence of the divine. I feel that comfort, I feel that reassurance from the Creator. Whenever I'm perhaps in fear or apprehension about the world, all I feel from Creator is comfort and that it's going to be okay. And interestingly, it always is okay. So I've learned to trust that voice over what is fed to me from the world. Listening to your own intuition, your own instincts. If something doesn't feel right, don't do it. Look into it, research it. Ask God. Now, I also lean on what is present. And what do I mean by that? I come back to my breath. I come back to my body, the sensations in my body. Feeling my hips on the chair, my feet on the ground when I'm walking outside. Putting my feet on the ground. Now in Canada, it's getting a little bit colder. It's quite rainy today. But as much as you can, get your feet, your bare feet on the earth to help ground you, to get into what is real around you. To bring yourself into presence will calm the central nervous system. Be in nature, right? Be present in nature. When I go into nature, I take my dogs for a walk. I don't take any podcasts with me. I don't take any auditory. I am watching my dogs. I'm breathing the fresh air. I'm listening to the sounds of nature. I'm communicating with the trees, the energies around me. So becoming present, coming back to those fundamentals like feeding your body well, making sure you're getting enough sleep, making sure you're getting healthy foods, right? Coming back to those foundations. Because if we are consuming too much of anything that's unhealthy, whether it's food, whether it's water, whether it's what we take in through social media, whether it's what we take in through movies, that is digesting. You are taking that into your consciousness, and your mind, body, spirit have to digest that. We can be influenced by our environment. When you eat well, you feel better because there's life force in the food. There's life-giving properties and nutrition that lift your energy when you're eating well. Well, it's the same thing if we are always consuming fear-based media or fear-based learning. There's a lot to learn about the world right now, and some of it can be scary. People can have scary perspectives. But again, come back to your truth from Creator, your truth from your instincts, your logic. And make sure that you are present. And you want to, all of those things you take into yourself, as I said, you have to digest. So limiting what you take in and making sure you're putting good stuff in too, and choosing what you take in, what you listen to, what you watch is very, very powerful. Your mind is that of God. I'm going to say that again. Your mind is that of God. And those that like to manipulate our perceptions through media, what we watch, we'll get into that in another podcast, they know this. They know that you're a creator being. So if they're feeding you fear, they know that you can create that. So it is very important to take your power back and understand that at the most basic fundamental level, that you don't give in to fear. Fear is how they control you. Now, who is they? Again, I'll leave that for another podcast. But there are people that manipulate the masses, and they have for a long, long, long time. And humanity is starting to wake up to this. They're starting to see the Oz behind the curtain, like in Wizard of Oz. They're pulling back the curtain and seeing the controller and seeing that he's just a tiny, frail little man. But you need to know how they can manipulate you so that you can learn to sidestep it and see it. This is a big part of the awakening as well. So coming back, how do we keep grounded through this awakening process? Be present. Focus daily on being present in your life, finding joy in those little things, right? Find others that have been through this shift. Make connections, even if it's online, others that understand you, that you can relate to in this process is huge. Knowing that you are not alone helps us feel safe. Part of our psychology that the controllers understand is that when we are isolated and we feel all alone, we are very easy to control and manipulate. But when we know that we're not alone, when we understand, even if that person isn't standing beside you, but you know that others think like you, there's a power and a strength in that. So find others, make connections. Now here is the most exciting part of the awakening, in my opinion. As we are leaving the descending Yug, the night of God, the systems built in that, the structure of society built in that time, will need to be dissolved and created anew, because the consciousness of the human race no longer will be confined and controlled like a child. So as you see the world kind of shifting and changing, realize that they may have a plan for their structure to stay in power, digital IDs, AI, things like that, or we get to create what we want the earth to look like. Since we have that creative energy within inside of us because we're part of Creator, here is the gift. We get to create our life and our experience that we want to have. The joy in the communities, building communities that are helpful to each other, building communities that stand together to understand real values again, that understand what's important as humans. The controllers really fear that. Again, when we join together in community, we're less controlled. So start to write out what you want your life to look like in the future. What do you want your children's life to look like in the future? Are you wanting sovereignty? Are you wanting authority over yourself? Not looking to outside authority to tell you what to do and how to live your life. So write this down. What do you want for your children? And start to have a vision of what you want to create. Find others to start to share that vision with. There are many, many people building alternative communities, not alternative communities, but outside of the system, right? Farmers joining together, people that make different products, banding together, trading amongst themselves. So these parallel systems are being created because those that have awoken can see the writing on the wall. So I hope that this podcast was helpful. I hope if you are waking up, that I hope you understand you're not alone wherever you are in the journey, that it's normal to be questioning. It's actually abnormal to not question. Human nature is curious. That's why children ask a billion questions. It's human nature. So question everything. So as you awaken more and more, find your tribe, find your community, and join together. See what you can create. See what you can manifest together. Because we are creator beings. We came here to this planet to shift the controller's plans on its head. And again, for another podcast, the plans that they had for us, or still trying to act out, I don't see them happening, but more people do need to wake up and understand. So reach out. Share this podcast with others that have gone through the awakening process. Join together. What solutions would you like moving forward? Don't wait for somebody to provide you the solution. Brainstorm. Find your own solutions. Wishing you a wonderful, wonderful Monday. Thank you so much for joining me today. I love you. I appreciate you. And let's walk this awakening journey together.